So after the Apple Watch Ultra came out, I tested and reviewed it, which you can see in the link below, and there were a good number of things that I liked about the Apple Watch Ultra and a number of things that I disliked. And now 4 months later, there's been a lot that has changed my mind about this watch. Many of the issues that I had a problem with initially have turned out to be not as bad, and a lot of things that I initially thought were great turned out to not be so great. So today I want to set the record straight with 6 reasons I was wrong about the Apple Watch Ultra. And a big shout out to today's sponsor, InsideTracker, who you can learn more about later on in the video. So probably my biggest criticism about the Apple Watch Ultra in terms of being a sports watch was the lack of navigation. The new compass with waypoints felt and still feels like the worst possible way to track your route in an age where we have maps and actual navigation. And while I searched and tried several apps to add this to the Apple Watch Ultra, I just wasn't impressed with any, as I felt they were clunky and just overall less useful when compared to navigation built into other sports watches like Garmin. However, I finally did find the killer app for this, and it's called Footpath. And the reason I like Footpath so much is that not only can you create, save, and download offline routes, but you can also get turn-by-turn directions. And in addition, you can use this navigation while using other workout apps. So if you want to use the Apple Workout app, or in my case, a lot of the time I've been using this Stride running app, which keeps track of my running power, but I can have the navigation on in the background so I can make sure that I know where I'm going. So thanks to this app, I finally feel like I can call the Apple Watch Ultra officially a sports watch. Now, one of the features I actually thought was pretty nice when I first reviewed the Apple Watch Ultra was the new action button. And although I felt it was a bit limited in how it could be customized, I liked the idea of having an additional button to do actions like start the workout timer. However, the longer I've used this watch, the more I have disliked that action button, to the point where now I have it completely disabled 98% of the time. Because of its lack of customization, the action button can really only be set up to work with one app that you can choose in the settings. So rather than having a different action depending on which app you're using, it will just continue to do the same thing, which means that 1, it gets used very infrequently, and 2, since it's used so infrequently, it gets annoyingly pressed way more often by accident than on purpose. And as you may notice, I wear the Apple Watch Ultra with the opposite orientation of most people, because when I'm strength training, my wrist almost always hits the button when I get into deep flexion. And with the action button there, that means it's either going to take me to a different app, or sometimes in the middle of a set, it would set off the SOS alarm. Now, if I was able to disable the action button outside of certain apps, it would be much more useful, but the way it is right now, you have to have it completely on or completely off. And given how little value it actually delivers, I just choose to have it off most of the time. Now, when compared to other sports watches, I find and still find the Apple Watch Ultra to not be the greatest when it comes to recovery metrics like HRV, and I've tried various apps and I'm still not impressed with the accuracy. However, one thing that I did miss and that I've grown to love more over time is how easy and useful habit tracking is on the Apple Watch Ultra. Because in terms of sports and fitness performance, developing habits is absolutely crucial, and because of the customization, it's easily the best watch to be able to do this. So for example, for me, I struggle the most with drinking enough water. So I use an app called Water Llama, and I keep it displayed on my main screen to remind me and keep track of my hydration. And there are just a ton of useful apps and habit trackers that you can download and put on your front watch face to keep them on your mind throughout the day, which is just, at least for me, a very powerful tool to stay on top of habits that I really want to dial in. Now, when it comes to habits and improving your health and longevity, there's no better way to understand which habits are going to be most important for you personally than to have your blood and DNA analyzed, which is exactly what today's sponsor, InsideTracker, are experts at. InsideTracker was created by experts in aging, genetics, and biometric data from Harvard, Tufts, and MIT. InsideTracker provides personalized health analysis and clear recommendations, plus an action plan on how to live healthier and longer. InsideTracker also calculates your biological age, the rate at which you're aging, and compares this to your chronological age, as well as provide ways to help you lower your own biological biological age. And the thing I love most about InsideTracker is that after I took the test and got all of my data, they gave me these personal recommendations and things that I could do to optimize my health, like changes in food, supplementation, and exercise, many of which I am now doing and keeping track of with the Apple Watch Ultra. And you can use your HSA, HRA, and FSA to buy any InsideTracker plan, and for a limited time, you can get 20% off the entire InsideTracker store when you sign up with the link below. Now, one of the things that has always been impressive to me about Apple Watches is their heart rate accuracy. And I initially didn't notice anything too different here on the Ultra, but I don't know why this is the case, but it seems that the heart rate tracking, at least for me, has become more and more inaccurate. And it might be because of the size of the watch and how much it moves. And it does seem to be on point most of the time, especially because when compared to other watches, they tend to drop your heart rate too low when they're off. But the Apple Watch Ultra actually does the opposite. It overcompensates for the reading and much of the time gives me a higher heart rate reading than it actually is. Now, another thing I didn't touch on too much in my initial review was some of the Apple Watch Ultra's capabilities, like being able to make calls without a phone and download offline music and podcasts and Audible books, mostly because I consider a lot of that to be smartwatch specific rather than necessary for a sports watch. But the more I've used it, the more I can say I was wrong about that, because I don't like to have to run with my phone if I don't have to, but I often will in the case of an emergency, or if I want to listen to an audiobook or be able to make a quick reply to a text message. And you just can't do that with any other sports watch, or at least not as seamless and as easy as this. And so I think it deserves a lot more praise than I originally gave it. Finally, another metric that I was initially impressed with was that running power is now tracked with Apple Watches, including the Apple Watch Ultra. And while I still like the fact that it has been added, the more I've used it, the less happy I am with it. Of course, I would have loved to be able to see running power by split or some other options to visually see here, but my main issue is actually the accuracy. When compared to other watches, and especially foot pods like Stride, I just find the power readings here to be really off the harder I run. And not even off in a predictable way either. Like sometimes it'll be just a little under what the power should be, and other times it'll be a lot under for no discernible reason as far as I can tell. And running power is such an important metric to me, as I enjoy and get better results with power-based training more than I do heart-based training. And luckily, I recently reviewed an accessory that does work with the Apple Watch Ultra that does give very accurate running power delivered in real time to the watch. And you can check that review out here, because when the Apple Watch Ultra is paired with the next gen Stride Pod and alongside that Footpath app for navigation, it has finally become a sports watch that I truly think is excellent. Again, this is Colin with Connect the Watts. Appreciate you being here, and I'll see you next time.